Hi, and welcome to another Drawing with Steffi. I just wanted to point out real quick that I do have a website where you can see more of my art and link to videos and such, and it's at cybercatgraphics.com. You can also find me on DeviantArt under Lady-Cybercat, or you can just type, Lady Cybercat, and it'll probably come up too. Alright, today what we are going to do is color a dragon with Copic and Prisma markers. They're very popular and they're lots of fun. They are kind of expensive, unfortunately, but they are definitely worth the price. I know the picture is a little small. See if I can bring the camera in a little bit closer. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Let me get that closer. There you go. Yeah, that's a lot better. Alright. What we're going to start with is some green. I like to color with a sheet on the back, so that way I can test the colors to make sure they look the way I think they ought to. And this is a pretty good green to start with. So I'm going to try to make sure I keep this in the camera view so you can see what I'm doing. The Copic markers, you don't have to use Copic markers if you're just trying to use alcohol markers in general. The Copics are pretty nice because they have the brush end. I've tried lots of different types of alcohol markers, and even though these are the most expensive ones, they probably are the best ones. But if you're just starting out, there's nothing wrong with using the Prisma markers. I have a bunch of those. I have some of the Tria ones, and I also have a couple other brands. The Dick Blick ones aren't bad. I picked them up the other day, and they're decent. And if you have a Utrecht store out where you live, the markers they have are pretty good. They also have a brush end. Alright, so you just start off with a base coat. You don't have to worry too much about streaking. You just want to get the base color down. But that is the nice thing about the Copics. They don't streak quite as bad as the Prismas. And we'll just color in this. And again, this is just the base coat, so you don't have to freak out too much about colors. So we're going to be doing a lot of layering. Alcohol markers work a lot like doing watercolor paintings. You do a lot of layering. Right, there we go. We've got the dragon colored. And if you notice, there's also a little bit of background. So we are going to color some of that. Got some blues here. I'm going to test out and see which blue I like the best. I think that'll work good for the background. So we're going to color that in. Get some forest in there, some sky showing between the trees. And because the dragon is also green, I'm going to try to make sure that the background, you could do it dark green, but darker colors kind of tend to go to the front. It makes it look like it's closer. And I don't want the dragon in the front to be too dark, so I'm going to make sure that my green for the grass is very faint. I'm going to test out that green. It looks kind of good. And you don't want to do too much detail for the background, because again, details are something that's going to make the area look closer. And don't worry, we will fix it so things don't look quite so bad. So, melding together. That's why it's nice to have a nice variety of colors. There you go. And now we're going to get some light brown for the tree. See if I can look grayish here, and we're going to see what the color looks like there. Oh, that's good for trees. Alright, that's also good for the ground back here. There we go. Right, and now I'm going to do some slightly darker green. Good dark green. And do some shadows here. And shadows also are something that's kind of complicated. Sometimes you want them to be darker than everything, and then sometimes you don't want them to be quite as dark, because again, dark colors make it look like it's closer. So sometimes having the shadows fade out or be less intense in color will help. I'm using mostly the marker tip, the brush tip here, because it gives it a nice texture. And he's got some fishy scales. This is a picture that I drew earlier. You have to be really careful with the pens you use because the alcohol markers can smear really bad if you're not careful. So either let it dry overnight or make sure that you can draw over it. You can just use a scrap piece of paper and test it out. You know, do a couple spritches of ink and then let it dry for a little while, and then try to color over it with the marker and see what happens. I'm going to go for slightly darker green, because I only have so many of the Copics. We're going to switch over to a Prisma marker. And let's see here. Of course, some of my favorite colors in the Prismas have been discontinued. I like the lime green and the jade green. Those are some really nice colors. And I haven't decided what color I'm going to make the underside, but for right now we're going to do shadow work here. And the newer Prismas have a little bit of a, it's not really a brush pen, but it's better than the small tip they had before. I'm not going to go over under here with shadow, because that's going to be too dark. And I'm just going to put in a little bit of color here to help make the scales look shimmery. And then I'm going to go back over it again and blend it. The paper I'm drawing on right now is just cardstock, but the Aqua Bee paper is really great for markers. But just general cardstock is also great because it's cheap and it's good to ink on. I like it, especially since it's cheap. But it doesn't bleed, so it's got some really nice properties. Alright, there we go. And do some of the top here. And then I'm going to go back over with some of our green here. Check the color. And then I'm going to kind of blend it. And all you have to do to blend it is kind of dab on top of it, and it will kind of bleed in with the other colors that are there. The Copics are really good for blending. There's something in their makeup that makes it a little bit easier. They like to bleed into each other a little bit better than some of the other brands. There we go. And I think I am going to use some light purple now. Purple's a good shadowy color. I'll make sure it's a nice light one. It's a little bit dark, but that's alright. We can fade it out some. And it's a little bit better to use the purples than it is to use like a gray for shadow. I'm just going to add the shadows in already because we'll just go back over that area anyway. Get some of his horns in there. And it's also important to remember where your light source is going to be coming from, so think of it coming like straight ahead. Oops, that's the color of his green there. There we go. Now let's just see a little bit better. Oh, there you go. Get the camera to focus. Ooh, there we go. That's fun with fixed focus cameras. That's looking pretty decent. And of course, once you've got the purple down, you can go back over with your green in. A little dark. That's definitely too dark. That's like the green for trees. There we go. This is a good blendy color. This is Cool Shadow. That makes sense. It's kind of a light blue green. And it's good for blending things together, and as you can see, it kind of I'll just make everything blend in. For the other really important thing to note about alcohol markers in general is you have to have a ton of them for them to work. If you have just one or two, you're not going to be very successful. You have to have a medium color and then lots of varying degrees of light colors for it to really work. I stay away from the really, really dark colors because I tend not to need them. If they're lighter colors, I find that I can use them more often. I don't need it to be really super deep colored. I can usually achieve that with colored pencils on top. Because with the really dark colors, it makes it harder to shade. Alright, I think we're going to do a really light brownish yellow. See, I've got some parchment here. This is a really great colored marker. Kind of a brownish. I think I'm going to use the small end. We're going to color that in over some of his horns here. No jokes about that, guys. It's a dragon. They have horns. Alright. And oops, putting it out of the camera again. Alright, I'm going to come back around here. We're going to let some of the purple show. And I'm going to come back around with another color. Again, using alcohol markers, it's a lot of blending and overlapping of lots of other colors. And this is going to help with where the lights are coming from. Again, I want it to kind of be coming from where the viewer is staring from, so okay. And I think I'm going to use a kind of a light gray for the rest of the inside and for the inner scales here. But I think this might be a little bit too yellow. Hope that looks good. Yeah, that looks really nice. Yeah, as you can see, I have lots and lots of colors. You usually need lots and lots. There we go. That looks pretty decent. Alright. Overlap. And you can come back in and kind of stripe over the green to add a little bit more colors in there. Color in the beard. If you find that your marker is starting to die, you can get the refills. And this is a Copic refill of the blender. But you can also use acetone for which is fingernail polish. Just be careful with the stuff because it's kind of toxic, sort of. But you just drip a little bit of it on the brush, or you can take this part off and ink it off. You and you just dip it on there. But a little bit goes a long way. And it also dilutes the color slightly. It makes it lighter. So use it sparingly. So that's a good way to get your markers back to life. You don't want to give up on them too soon. They're too expensive to do that. Alright, there we go. We have most of that blocked out now. Looking pretty decent. Alright, and now we're going to do the inside of the mouth. And I have a pink here, but it's a little bit too dark, so I'm going to look for a very light pink. I try to keep all my markers organized, but I'm very bad at it, so it may take me a few moments to find just the right pink. Here we go. I have Deco Pink, that should look good. See, this is the old end of the Prisma markers. I don't like those, they never work. But there's always this side. And so we're going to go in here and we're going to color it. And as you can see, it is very, very light, but that's okay. We can come back in with a deeper pink, which is Copic. And come back in here and add some more pink. And then